guys, I'm Kristen. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go through my entire July budget. Now, if you are a regular around here, then you know last month for the June budget, this video up here, I switched things up and I went back to budgeting on paper for my budgeting videos. That is how I've been budgeting myself for the past couple of months, and you guys seem to really like it, so I decided I would stick with the paper budgeting for my videos for the time being. For the next couple months, I'm going to show you how I've been budgeting on paper. I think sometimes it's really helpful, depending on what kind of a learner you are, to be able to see things done in different ways. Sometimes seeing it a certain way just makes it click for you. So if you are not someone who enjoys watching me write my budget out on paper, then you can check out this whole playlist up here. I have all my budgeting videos in there for about the last 2 years, and the majority of them are done on my spreadsheet. So if you learn better that way, go ahead and check those out. I will actually just link the playlist down below for you so it'll be easy for you to find. But for now, we are going to jump into July's budget. Guys, so here is my budget. Now, these printables that you're seeing in this video are all from my printable budget planner that is available for purchase on my website. I will leave a link to that down below if this is something you're interested in. But I always want to offer the disclaimer that you don't have to purchase a product to help you budget if you don't have the money. I love using budgeting products and budgeting tools. For me, they've been a great investment in my financial organization and in my peace of mind. But if you either don't have room in your budget or you don't believe in spending money on budgeting products, that's okay. You can do this yourself with just a piece of paper or a notebook, or create your own spreadsheet online. Totally up to you, but I just want to let you know where these are from because I always get questions. So this is how I have been budgeting lately. If you missed my video last month, then you maybe didn't know I've kind of switched things up a little bit, and this is something that I do and I recommend doing every so often. Please excuse the big shadow here, but that is from my filming overhead apparatus. I cannot seem to get rid of it. So what I've been doing is taking the blank calendar from my printable budget planner, and I've been filling it out paycheck to paycheck. So while we always say a monthly budget, and we always say, oh, okay, I'm doing my July budget or my August budget, essentially, your budgeting time frame is very rarely going to go month to month. So it's very rarely going to go from July 1st to July 31st unless you are paid that way. So if you are paid for a full month, start to finish, then that may be how you budget. But for us personally, we budget off my husband's paychecks, and what I have done is filled in the calendar to reflect his paychecks. So this month is actually going to be July 6th, and it's going to go all the way through August 3rd. So this is August 4th, and this is when my husband gets another paycheck. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill in these dates. So this is July 6th to August 3rd. And even though I call this my July budget, I've already budgeted in June, covering everything that goes up to July 5th, because that's the way my husband's paychecks ran last month. Now let me just show you in a little bit more detail. My husband is paid on a Tuesday, so he is actually paid here, and I always just note the paydays with green dollar signs. Very clever, huh? So he is paid here, and then he's not paid on this Tuesday, and then he is paid on this Tuesday. So his first paycheck is going to cover July 7th to July 20th, and technically I can erase that 6 too, because that's already covered in last month. And then his next paycheck, so his second paycheck in July, is going to cover July 21st all the way until August 3rd. And then he will be paid again on August 4th. So when I do my August budget video, I'll be picking up right here on August 4th. I hope that makes sense. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below and I will answer them the best I can. Now, the next thing I do, I'm really trying to show you guys the whole process here, is I grab my printable budget planner. Now, I just keep mine in a binder, so you'll often hear me call it my budget binder. And I open this up and I grab this. So this is my yearly overview. And all this shows is all the important dates that I have going on throughout the year and every single month. It goes down here, it's just out of frame. When I fill out my calendar, this is a good reminder of anything that I may need to include. So if I look here in July, I have multiple birthdays, and I also have my ID theft insurance coming up. This is something I actually overlooked last month. So it is included in last month's budget. I just did not have it in my budget video because for some reason I thought it was the following month. So since this budget is only covering the 7th, the 3rd is already covered in last month. So my ID theft insurance will not be included on here because it's going to have to be taken out of the June budget. So I'm not going to include that. What I am going to do is mark on the bottom that I have 2 birthdays this month. And I'm going to need a baby gift as well, because we have a baby coming to our family at some point this month, unless she decides to make an early appearance. Okay, so I'm going to cover this line here because this just has some personal account information. But this just includes all of our bills, the amount and when they're due each month. And the same thing down here, this is our quarterly bills, when they're due and the amount. Then we move down here to the yearly expenses, and these are things like our auto insurance, our Ring, that's our Ring doorbell that we paid for yearly, and Amazon Prime. So this is just going to give me an overview of all my bills, and I'm going to move this to the side and fill out my bill calendar. Now this video is definitely going to be longer than most of my budget videos, but I really wanted to make sure I'm giving you a very clear picture of my exact budgeting process, start to finish. So the first thing I do is I mark mortgage on every payday, because even though my mortgage is due once a month, we transfer half of our payment every 2 weeks to our mortgage account, and then our mortgage bill is taken out of there automatically. So that's my mortgage. I'm going to transfer that each time. We also give to our church out of our first pay every single month. So I'm going to mark that down as well. Then our electric bill is usually due here on the 22nd, and that does fluctuate sometimes. So if I have to adjust when the actual bill comes in, that's not a problem. I just adjust it. It usually still falls within the same paycheck, so it's not a big deal. Our gas bill is usually due around the same day. And then our cell phone is usually due here on the 15th. Our cable is usually due around the same day. Our World Vision is due on the 5th, and that was already covered with the last month, since again, we're only starting here on the 7th and we're stopping on the 3rd. So we're not going to have to include World Vision on this budget at all. I no longer mark our pet insurance payment on our calendar because that comes out of our spending categories. And I'll try to do a better job explaining that when I get to that part on the budget. Our sewer bill is due on the 1st. I'm going to mark that here on the 25th because I usually like to pay that a little early because that gets sent a physical check. I think I got everything taken care of. So the next thing I do is I grab 2 markers, highlighters, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight. Everything here in this first 2 weeks is going to be paid from the first paycheck. So it's all going to come out of this paycheck here that we will receive on July 7th. So that's going to cover the mortgage transfer, our church donation, our cell phone, and our cable bill. And then the remaining expenses here are going to be covered by the second paycheck. So then when my husband is paid again on the 21st, we will pay the mortgage transfer again, the electric bill, the gas bill, the water, and the sewer bill. So I highlight those with 2 different colors. And that is because now that my bill calendar is complete, I'm going to put this off to the side and we're going to go to our paycheck budget sheets. So the first thing I do is I take these dates and copy them over. So remember we said paycheck number 1 is going to be July 7 to July 20th. And then I'm going to highlight that the same color. So we highlighted our first paycheck bills in yellow. I'm going to highlight this in yellow. It just helps me quickly and easily associate the right bills with the right budget. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the second page. And again, I'm just referring back to the bill calendar we just filled out. So the second paycheck is going to cover July 21st to August 3rd. And then I'm going to highlight this the second color, which I did in pink. Okay guys, so I did go ahead and fill everything in off camera just because I wanted to make sure I was doing it correctly and not showing you the wrong things. So I thought it would be easier if I'd fill it all in and then just go through it with you, so you can really focus on the numbers and not watching me write. So I'm estimating my husband's paycheck at $1,900 for the first half of the month. Remember, this is only the first paycheck that occurs the first half of the month. So we are covering July 7th to July 20th. I know the dates can be confusing. That's why I keep saying it over and over and over. I really want this to be as clear as possible for you. And if you remember, on the bill calendar we filled out, all I did was copy those over to here, to this bills section. So the first thing I have is $150 that we give to our church. Then our mortgage transfer for $715. Our cell phone is $198 about. And then our cable and internet is about $135. Now you can see this column says planned. So this is what I'm estimating. This is what I'm budgeting for. When I get the actual bills, since I'm still filming this in June, these bills have not even arrived. When I get the actual bills, I will go ahead and put that number on the bill in the actual column. So this first column, this planned column, is just here for us to plan out our budget, because a budget is just that. It's a plan for our money before the money actually comes in. So we're planning with the first column, and the actual column will be filled out when you're actually paying the bills, okay? Then I go ahead and I total this down here. So the total bills for this first paycheck is going to be $1,198. The next section, debt or extra expenses. We don't have any debt except for our mortgage, and we cover that up here under bills. And I do use this for extra expenses, but I don't have any that I'm planning for this particular paycheck. So this whole section here, I know you can't see it, is blank on my sheet. But if you're using this and you have debt or other expenses that you don't want to put in these regular categories, you can use that section. So these spending categories here are exactly what I have been using with the new system that we've been doing instead of cash envelopes. And I'm going to give you an update about that at the end of the video. So if you've been waiting to see how that's been working out for us, you're going to want to stick around until the end, and I will give you a lot more details on that. So these are spending categories that we use every pay period, and we are budgeting $35 for fuel. That's for our cars, $30 for home, $250 for food. Remember, this is covering a 2-week period. $75 for gifts, $20 for giving. That's any kind of spontaneous giving that comes up that we would like to contribute to. $100 for miscellaneous. That covers any restaurants, anything else that maybe we didn't budget for ahead of time. All those little nuances that come up throughout the month. That category is super important because it protects your budget. It protects you from going over budget for things you weren't planning for. Cars, $30. That's more for car maintenance, and hopefully we're going to up that in the future to start saving for when one of us needs a new vehicle. Pets is $75. And what we've done is we now put all of that into our pet fund, and that is where our litter box delivery comes out of. That's where our pet insurance comes out of. That's where all of our vet bills come out of. That is where our pet food is taken from. So we've kind of lumped it all together. Back in the day, if you were around my channel, you would have seen it broken out. But now I've lumped everything together in just the pets line. It's just been working a lot easier for me that way, and it makes everything a lot cleaner. Clothing is $20. That covers our whole house. Household is $30. That's things like toilet paper, cleaning products, different toiletries. And then in the first paycheck of the month, my husband and I both take our personal money. So his personal is $75 and mine is $60. And all of these spending categories together equal $800. And then what you'll see here in the savings and sinking fund section is savings of $245. And this is the amount that I transfer to our savings account every month. That covers my husband's life insurance that's taken out automatically. That covers my life insurance. That covers the small amount of money that we save every single month towards our ID theft insurance, our Amazon Prime, our Ring, our auto insurance. So all of those are broken down by a monthly amount, and we just send that to savings. Then when the bills come due, we pull what we need for the bill out of savings, and it's already saved for. So this is a once a month transfer. You will not see this on the next paycheck, and that is $245. I forgot to total that down here. And then we come down to the bottom, and you can see our budget is overextended this month. Now, I usually pull the savings out the second half of the month, but I didn't do that this month. So I usually estimate pretty low for my husband's paycheck. So my hope is that his paycheck actually comes in much higher than this, but our pay, we are estimating at $1,900. Our expenses, so remember that was this block and this block, equaled $1,998 plus the savings was $245. That gives us a negative $343 for this first half of the month. Now, let me tell you what I do about that. I do expect his pay to come in a little bit higher because I know he's been doing a couple overtimes for this pay period. But since I never quite know, his pay is fluctuating, so I always estimate low. I don't ever want to estimate high and have it come in lower than normal. If it does not come in high enough to cover this extra 343 negative balance that we have, the next thing I will do is start taking away from our spending categories. For example, we just had to spend almost $500 on fixing up our fence that we were not expecting to do last month. Now, you didn't see that planned in our budget because we were not planning for it. So we kind of utilize all of our excess cash sitting around, so we don't have much of a buffer sitting in our checking account right now. If we did, I could use the buffer towards this extra, but I don't. So the first thing I would do would be to get rid of this home category altogether, since we just spent more on home maintenance than we intended. I would probably drop the gift category down. I would probably drop our miscellaneous down a little bit. I would drop our pets down. I would take off the clothing altogether. And last but not least, if I had to, I would adjust our personal money down. Okay, so that is how I would try to make up for that negative $343. If I still can't make up for it, I will push the savings amount to the next paycheck, and that should cover it all. So that's what I do when we don't make enough money to cover everything that we have budgeted out. So I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next paycheck. You'll remember that this is all of the things that we highlighted in pink. And here we actually have the small pay amount that I will take from my business this month. And I've also estimated my husband's pay at $1,900 again for this paycheck. So that gives us $2,100 to work with for this budget period. Again, we have our mortgage transfer of $715, our electric bill I'm estimating at $100, our gas bill I'm estimating at $40, and our water and sewer I'm estimating at $175. As I said last time, when those bills come in, I will log the actual amount of the bill in the actual column. Now, the thing that you'll notice on this paycheck is we do have 3 cash envelopes that we are still stuffing in cash envelopes because they're things we'd like to have cash for. Those categories are commissions for my kids. That's the commission we pay them for chores and helping out around the house. Haircuts, because whenever we can get in to see our stylist again, I do like to pay her in cash. And kids stuff. This is things if we want to go get an ice cream, if we want to save for a movie, different things that we want to do with the kids. I like to take some of that in cash so we have money on hand. So kids commissions, I'm going to say $50 for the month. I'm only filling these envelopes once a month at this point. Haircuts, I'm going to put $20 in it. and kids stuff, I'm going to put $50 in it. So that gives us a total of $120 in extra expenses. Moving up here to our spending categories again, these are all very similar to the last paycheck. Fuel, $35, home, $30, food, $250, gifts, $50, giving, $20, miscellaneous, $100, cars, $30, pet, $75, clothing, $20, household, $40, and you do not see the personal amount here for myself and my husband because that is only once a month. So that only occurs in the first half of the month. So those totals equal $650 for our spending categories. And then here in the savings and sinking funds section, this is where I'm putting money towards our sinking funds. So we are going to save for birthdays, Christmas, vacation, and start saving for school. I know it's early and we have no idea what school is going to look like yet this year, but I do know that we will still have to purchase supplies and clothing. So I need to start saving a little bit of money for that. So we are just doing $25 in every sinking fund. And then I'm also starting to contribute to my Roth IRA again, now that that is all worked out. I may do a video in the near future about our investing and our savings. Let me know if you would be interested in seeing that video at all. Let me know in the comment section. And if you guys are interested, I will get that filmed for you. But I'm putting $100 away from my Roth IRA for this month. And our savings and sinking fund total comes to $300. And you're not going to believe how well this worked out. When we come down here to the totals, we have $2,100 of planned estimated income. Again, that will fluctuate depending on what my husband's pay comes in at. And then I will move over here to the actual column. We also have total expenses. So that is the bills, the extra expenses, the spending category, that equals $1,800 even. And then our savings category equaled $300 even, which is a total of $2,100 of income minus $2,100 of expenses. And that gives us a zero. So that comes out to a true zero-based budget. If our pay comes in higher in this paycheck, then that will either have to cover the expenses we couldn't cover in the first half of the month. If there's anything left here, it will simply sit in our checking account. We want to be a full month ahead on our bills. So that is the financial goal we are working towards. And once we reach that goal, then we will start bumping up the savings and sinking fund categories each month. That is what July is looking like for us. I also wanted to just take a quick minute and give you an update on the new budgeting course that we've been following. If you have seen my budgeting videos the past couple months, then you know what I'm talking about. But I have had a couple people reach out to me through a private messenger and email because I haven't given an update yet. And the reason I didn't give an update was because I really wanted to take a good amount of time and make sure that I have a good opinion on this new system and how it's working for us before I shared more with you guys. So the verdict is in. We are absolutely loving it. In fact, just a couple days ago, I told my husband that we have stuck to our budget more in the past month of using this new system than we probably have in the past year. I'm always pretty vocal about how often we mess up on our budgets. We are so far from perfect when it comes to budgeting. This has really helped us. If you're new here, then we have been using cash envelopes for about 3 years, and it did work very well for us. It really helped us kind of rein in our spending, get a better idea of how much we're spending on different categories throughout every single budget period. And as much as I love cash envelopes, I was just kind of getting sick of using them. And I was really trying to figure out a good system for still sticking with the idea of cash envelopes where you are allotting a specific amount of money to each category for that paycheck period. And then when that money was gone, you're done spending in that category until your next paycheck period. So since my husband is paid bi-weekly, every 2 weeks when he's paid, we would fill up our cash envelopes, and that would have to last us the total of 2 weeks until he was paid again and we could fill them up again. And especially once the pandemic hit, I just really didn't want to be handling cash. I'm a germaphobe to begin with, and it's just kind of one more layer of germs and ickiness that I just didn't want to be dealing with. So I found this course from my friends at Seed Time Money. Bob and Linda are their names. I'll link their channel down below. They have a huge YouTube channel. They are super knowledgeable, Lots of fun. I'm also going to link a free webinar that they offer where they give you 7 tips to sticking to your budget. It's really helpful. They have some great tips in there. And then they also talk a little bit about this course. So this is the course that I took. It was really compact and I was able to take it in less than an hour, and it does give you some good principles on budgeting, but the bulk of the course is talking about how you can set up bank accounts in a way that would hold you accountable, basically help you use cash envelopes, the principles of cash envelopes that I just mentioned, without having to use cash, without having to use actual envelopes and carry them around with you, being able to use it with a credit or a debit card, which be careful there. If you know you're not good with a credit card, do not use this system with a credit card. You just have to be smart and be realistic. If you have trouble racking up debt with a credit card, please avoid that and use the debit card system that they talk about. And also without using an app, because there's a lot of apps out there where you have digital cash envelopes, but you're not actually using your real money. You're basically setting up envelopes and kind of different buckets to where you're allocating money. But the thing is, you can just easily say, oh, okay, I went over budget on this. Well, I'm going to go in there and take the money from somewhere else and make it look like I had enough money in that category. Why somebody would do that, I don't know, but maybe you want to show your spouse you're sticking to your budgets. It's kind of like when you use MyFitnessPal to log your food, right? It's super easy to manipulate the meals or the food or even the exercise that you're logging in MyFitnessPal because it's just reflecting whatever you're putting in there. And I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it's kind of the same way with some of these envelope apps. Whereas their system does a better job of holding you accountable because it's showing you how to do this with your real money. So it really is forcing you to stick to your budget more than if you were just allocating money in digital cash envelopes. Now, I know that might be a little confusing, but it's kind of hard for me to explain in too much detail. If you want to learn more, go watch their free webinar, their free online training that I have linked down below. It's going to give you some really helpful budgeting tips, and it's going to give you a lot more details and information on their course. I highly recommend it. And I think with the money that we have saved by sticking to our budget better in the last month, that it is absolutely already paid for itself. That's how it's going for us. Just wanted to give you guys an update. If you found this video helpful in any way, I would appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel and meet me back here again next Friday. I do new videos every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would love to see you back here. I hope you have a great day. Bye.
I've been waiting all my life for something. I've been down the darkest roads and up in the clouds.